today's video, I'm going to give you 4 tips from the best-selling book ever written on negotiation. Let's jump right in. My name is Alastair McTavish. I'm an internationally certified soft skills trainer. I've delivered training to thousands of people in more than a dozen countries around the world. This channel aims to help you to take your soft skills, communication skills, and leadership skills to the next level. So let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever had to negotiate in your personal life or in your professional life? I bet you have. Whether it's buying a car, buying a house, or something smaller, even on holiday in a market. In your professional life, it might be negotiating a pay rise for a job with a client, with a supplier, or with your manager to try and get some budget. So the best-selling book ever written on negotiation skills is called Getting to Yes. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can refer to it and you can buy it on Amazon if you like. Now, it's written by 3 Harvard professors and it is the book on negotiation. In order to save you time reading the whole book, in this video I'm going to give you 4 main tips, the 4 main concepts from this book to help you improve your negotiations. So the first tip to improve your negotiation skills from Getting to Yes is this. Separate the people from the problem. Separate the people from the problem. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means be hard on the problem, but soft on the people. So in any sort of negotiation, when we want to get a price reduction, we want to get our own way, we want to buy a car for a cheaper price, sometimes we think the other person is being stubborn, is being difficult with us, and it can cause you to get frustrated. Okay? But this concept is, don't focus on the other person as being difficult. Don't focus on the other person. Focus on solving the challenge together. Okay, so how can we both benefit? I'm sure you've heard of win-win negotiation. It's a very overused term. But this first concept, really important. So let me give you one idea for this. So say you're in a meeting and you want to negotiate with somebody. A lot of people sit face to face, with a physical barrier of a table in between. So one tip for you is, instead of sitting face to face across a table, go to the edge of the table and both sit on the corner of the table, or even sit next to somebody when you're trying to negotiate and reach an agreement. In this way, it's far more collaborative. So tip number 1, separate the people from the problem. Tip number 2, to improve your negotiation skills, is focus on interests, not positions. Now, what do I mean by focus on interests, not positions? So when you're negotiating, let's use the example of buying a car. Say you want to buy a car and you have £8,000 to spend. Say that's like $10,000. But the car salesman wants to sell the car to you for £9,000, or let's say $11,000. If you only want to pay $8,000 and you say, no, I'm not going to pay any more than £8,000. And the car salesman also says, I'm sorry, we're not going to sell this car for you for anything less than £9,000. Well, it's going to be very hard to reach an agreement. What often happens, the car salesman will say, okay, we can give you slightly cheaper, $8,800. And you say, no, that's too high, $8,200. And then you end up meeting somewhere in the middle. And do you know what happens? Often both parties are not satisfied. So this key second step is focus on interests, not positions. So why does the car salesman want to sell the car to you for £9,000? Or if you're the car salesman, why does the buyer only want to pay £8,000? Are there any other factors that you're not aware of? So for example, if it's the end of the month, or it's the end of the quarter, or the end of the year, the car salesman may well reach his or her bonus if he manages to sell more cars. So if you could find out, you could ask, how is business recently? How are car sales? This could help you to understand how good a position the car salesman is in and how strong a negotiating position you can make. Now, how can you focus on interests, not positions? Well, this is all about having good listening skills. And in future videos, I'm going to talk to you about how to be an effective listener. So tip number 2, focus on interests, not positions. So tip number 3 to improve your negotiation skills from the most well-known book ever written on negotiation is generate options for mutual gain. generate options for mutual gain. Well, what does this mean? The only person to win the Nobel Peace Prize twice said, to have a good idea, you need to have many ideas. Most people in negotiation, they either have my way or the highway. So the car salesman, £9,000 for this car or nothing. The buyer, £8,000 or nothing. Those are two different options. So in order to increase the chances of reaching an agreement in this negotiation, the car salesman and the potential buyer need to come up with other options. So what could another option be? Well, another option could be finance, of course. The car salesman will say, look, I will sell this car to you for £9,000. However, you don't need to pay anything today. You don't even need to pay anything for 6 months. After 6 months though, you need to pay a certain amount of money every single month. And within 5 years, you can pay off the cost of this car. How does that sound? Now, if the buyer is short of cash at the moment, that might be quite attractive. So that is a third option. And indeed, together, the car salesman and the potential buyer can brainstorm option 4 and option 5. So tip number 3, generate options for mutual gain. There are often more than just 2 options. Tip number 4, to improve your negotiation skills, is use objective criteria. So what's the difference between objective and subjective? So subjective means your opinion, something about your opinion. So I think this car is too expensive, or I think I should get a better salary for this position. But objective is not your personal opinion. It's more about some facts or some sort of evidence. So let me give you an example. Say you're going to buy a house and somebody offers you, they say this house is for sale for £250,000. Okay, £250,000. Now you check online and you find that other houses in this exact same area, exactly the same as this one, have been sold recently for £220,000. So this is real, genuine, objective criteria showing that the seller is trying to sell you this property for £30,000 too much. So you can show them this criteria and you can say, look, why are you trying to sell me this for £250,000? There are other houses exactly the same as yours that have been sold very recently for £220,000, and this can be quite powerful. I hope you found these tips useful. So to sum up, 4 ways to improve your negotiation skills, whether it's in your personal life or at work. Number 1, separate the people from the problem. Number 2, focus on interests, not positions. Number 3, generate options for mutual gain. And number 4, use objective criteria. So as I say, I will put a link to in the description for this book, Getting to Yes. And what I'd really like to know, out of these 4 tips, which one do you like the most? Which one are you going to try in your next negotiation? And if there are any other tips that you find effective when negotiating, please share those in the comments for the value of everyone else. So we've got a lot more videos to come on a lot more fascinating and useful soft skills, communication skills, and leadership topics. I hope you found this useful, and see you on the next one.